on Monday, September the 9th, 2024. That is today. I wrote and posted this poem. It's number 4,456 of the Anachronisms, which I post pretty much daily these days, especially on the Anachronisms blog site, on the Anachronisms blog, which is found at www.anachronisms with a ZMS at the end, ANACHRONIZMS.blogspot.com. It's called Ponderings and Educated Guesses, and this is, in parentheses, yet another interlude. Back then, wanting to live long enough to tell the stories of what I had no way to put into words because it was also impossible to float somewhere outside of myself in order to see what people like to call the big picture of what is going on, of how sick I'd become, how emotionally, how mentally ill. It was a pre-pandemic deterioration, the worst of which I can now say occurred before I was literally kicked out on my ass, kicked to the curb, then wait what turns out to be this extraordinarily long duration, and then kicked out into the elements. The worst had already happened by the time I got to the trauma, until I realized, even considerably after the less harrowing set of events began to occur, my memory, that dried up orange wedge that had already made retrospection something so unlike, that seemed so seductively distinct, that I had taken to saying, I write to remember, and that's why I take photographs too, had begun to malfunction, just as it does for those whose memories are normal. And I'd already been weaving these facsimiles together for a decade, this particular project, which, since that time, which I call the worst of it, years before the pandemic, dozens of months before losing my home of nearly 13 years, I've spent yet another decade building this quilt made of me, all slapdash, wherein I can dive into at whatever point, if for no other reason than the fundamental one of understanding illness, as I never had, of this incredibly long process of healing and the physical deterioration of simply living that can go on in simultaneity. One comes of age, one experiences tragedy, gets sick, and in this case, one heals, slowly, is always healing. And at the same time, one, usually completely unaware of the pace, much less that all of this is ever happening, it's all so significant, is always, yet indefinitely, meaning also infinitely for you, yet finitely, in the whole grand scheme of things, perhaps, or in theory, because one can never truly know, is dying. Is dying is the end of this, and at the same time one, and then all that rest of the stuff is in between a couple of dashes. But anyway, Monday for you.